Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
The racing action continues here today as we head down into round 12 of the Monticello Motor Club Esports Challenge. We head to Spa-Francorchamps, a pretty inaugural track that we get to face with the GT3 cars. My name is Tristan Herbst, joined in the commentary box and production booth today by Omet. But before we continue, we've already got our starting procedure coming to you for heat number 1. Trenton Walker will be starting up in front with Ian Barthelms in second position. Eric Paternotte takes third today, with Paul Barthelms in fourth position. Jordan Klein in fifth with Manny Tartaglione in sixth position. Sean McAuliffe in seventh. Simon Reed currently sits in eighth position. Josh Jenny down ninth with Owen Barthelms currently sitting 10th position. Melissa Barthelms follows just behind in 11th, and Andrew Barton in 12th position. 13th onwards, we do have Jason Cohen, Ron Trenker in 14th. Brian Hedine takes 15th position with Chris Peterson in 16th. And our final driver in our 17 grid amount of cars yet today, Mike Poe, will be starting towards the back end side of it. But welcome in indeed. We're indeed live here today at Apex Racing TV on the Monticello Motor Club YouTube channel. And I think it's going to be a good one. It is indeed Miss Egg Barthelms who joins us in the commentary box and the production booth. And how are we feeling for today's racing around Spa?
I know what you expect me to say. It's just like the same boring formula, guys. Yeah, let's stop GT3s at Spa, shall we?
Yeah, well, I mean, GT3s at Spa tend to show themselves sometimes, and we get to see quite a bit of good racing at Spa-Francorchamps, especially in the GT3 class. These cars were kind of built for Spa-Francorchamps, and especially in the longer WEC kind of formats where we get to see them going around for longer periods of time, for 8 or 12-hour races, even 24-hour races here at Spa-Francorchamps. But obviously, we've got 2 heats coming for you towards you today. Heat number 1 is going to be your 20-minute race, which we're experiencing right now live on action on the Monticello Motor Club YouTube channel. We then head into a 5-minute intermission and followed by your heat number 2. Again, another 20-minute race that we get to experience the GT3s. The pace car lights are off on the front side. And as we wait for the drivers to run through bus stop chicane now, it is going to be rounding up towards the end. There's already a Porsche at the back that's made contact with another car, and that's a front bumper that's come loose before we've even started this race, unfortunately. But rounding around to the final corner, Trenton Walker and Ian Barthelms line up at the starting line here as they head down towards turn number 1. It is going to be green flag racing, and indeed it is lights out, and away we go. Trenton Walker up in front with Ian Barthelms trying to find his way around in the Mustang. Already on the outside line, it is Paul Barthelms also trying to find his way around. Bit of an overshoot there from Trenton Walker, and he goes all the way wide on the left-hand side, but manages to keep onto the track. We've got a BMW who loses himself in the gravel at the end, and he tries to avoid the race of the cars. Unfortunately, he's able to and not come back onto the racing line, which is great stuff from him to keep that recovery nice and going. But Trenton Walker and Ian Barthelms have managed to keep themselves up there in second, but Paul Barthelms has claimed a position there from Jordan Klein on the race start. Same with Jordan Klein and Eric Paternotte. So Paternotte moves down into 5th position at the start of this race, and that is currently your battle for 5. Battle for 2nd is also going on right now between those top runners, and there we see Klein getting a position back now on the likes of Paternotte. Mikhailov also moves up all the way to 4th position. Klein's gone off, and there's a massive hit into the wall there for the Porsche driver on the left-hand side. We'll get a bit of a replay here to see what happened. It's coming down the back straight after Rouge, and on the inside line, Eric Paternotte holding on that left-hand side, and does he make contact? Indeed, he does. And John Klein just unfortunately nowhere to go. Takes a fat punt right into the left-hand side Tech Pro barrier, and that's going to be a good amount of damage on that car. Pretty action-packed lap that we've got to see here for the first round.
Yes, but I mean, you have to question though, why GT3 is a spot? It's like, hello guys, I'm coming to a restaurant. I ordered a white canvas. I want a white canvas to stare at for the. I'm sorry, I have like a vendetta against this track, but I'm surprised here. Trenton Walker in P1. I did not expect. I expect like Ian Barthelms to be in P1, but also Paul Barthelms right behind Ian. The Barthelms team clearly has practiced and is bringing some good competition here. And you have all the way to the back Sean McAuliffe-Flower. And you have a good battle here between Manny and Eric, and Manny here is holding the inside, going to the bus stop. Can maybe Eric hold the outside? No, he does not. He kind of gives up on it completely. I would have sent it, to be honest, but it is where it is. And now it's just going to be pretty boring, I think. Everyone's spaced out. It's Spa. Not much to see out there.
Yeah, it usually does get like that a bit at Spa. Once the drivers tend to space out, it tends to get a bit slower here at Spa-Francorchamps. And let's hope a couple of our drivers can possibly give us a couple of fights to put up on the screens. And there we go. We've got Mr. Owen Barthelms currently trying to get around the likes of Trenka up in 11th position. Going down into Radion and Rouge now. This is going to be possibly a position made at the end of the straight. The Mustang's going to have the slightly better top speed here. And he's also going to be pulling a little bit of slipstream here on the McLaren up in front. So hopefully we get a bit of a dive bomb coming in here from the likes of Owen Barthelms. You can see the onboard camera. He is closing in ever so slightly, but I don't think it's going to be enough to come towards the end of the straight here and make a position. And unfortunately, it's not. The McLaren goes slightly wide, but not enough to force a position overtake from Owen Barthelms in the backside there of that 12th position Mustang. And they continue on for the remainder of this race. Going around, though, we are about 3.5 minutes into this race for the time being, and Walker has managed to sort himself out with a 1.7 second gap. Tartaglione currently down with 6.5 seconds as he's busy chasing down right now. Just on the back end side, Paternotte, though, is hungry, trying to find a getaway around. You can see how close he's getting, and now coming up towards that second sector. Blanchimont is coming up soon. The tight left-hander once they're on the back straight, and as you can see, Manny having to do a lot of defending here against Paternotte to try and keep him at bay, but they're almost going to be side by side now as they head onto the back straight here. And they've got to watch out for this one not to make too much contact, but it is going to look like Paternotte's going to have a bit of slipstream coming onto this back straight, and a possible position could be made here on the rear wing spoiler now of Tartaglione. And we'll see when the dive gets made. It's looking all over right now for Pat, not trying to find a gap on the outside line. And through Blanchemont they go. He is going to be holding the outside line here. Let's hope he can keep on the track. Unfortunately, he can't. And makes the overtake on the off track.
I mean, you gotta hand it to him that the Trackmania shortcut is something people don't really think about. But he learned from the best, and he... Oh, never mind, he's giving it back. Man, sportsmanship is just evil, I think.
I mean, sportsmanship, I think,
back.
is what... No, I don't think he is. I think he had a bit of a slowdown, or I think he had a bit of a poor exit out of the bus stop, and looked like he was giving the position back, but clearly not. He stayed up ahead of Tartaglione, and now they head down into Rouge and Radion, and we'll have to see if the Manny behind in the Ferrari can do something about it, potentially try and get this position back, and obviously, like you mentioned, going a little bit wide there and trying to make the position stick on the outside line, but obviously, the game has not issued a penalty of any sort, so Patternot's going to continue pushing down to the line. Currently, Walco continuing to extend that lead. It is 2.3 seconds of a gap right now between Walco and Balthelms. And the two Balthelms racing drivers currently a bit of a distance between each other as it stands as well, about 7 or 8 tenths. There we see Ian Balthelms as he tries to keep up with Walco up in front. There we see Paul Balthelms as he's also just trying to hold on to the two Mustangs, trying to keep Spirit behind, but unfortunately the Aston Martin up in front is just showing its strengths here tonight. And McAuliffe also in the background just trying to keep up with the big Mustangs, but the Porsche significantly slower at a track like Spa-Francorchamps just due to the fact that it does not have that top speed on the straights. And there are two major straights here at Spa-Francorchamps where the Mustangs get to abuse that power. But obviously the Porsche still gets to abuse it a little bit through the middle sector, sector number 2. There's a couple of fast left and right-handers where the Porsche will have slightly better rotation, and it can make up for the time lost compared to the Mustang drivers. Patternot, though, very, very long shot off McAuliffe right now, about 4 seconds of a gap that he's got to work with, so it's going to be quite a long battle up to try and get to the top.
Yeah, I don't think it's much of a... I don't know if it's a car situation. I mean, it's fixed setup, so I'm not sure if the... if the drivers can even push the most out of what the car can offer. But also, the Rouge and Radion are not just about how fast your car is, it's also about how much speed you can carry up that hill, If you're not flat out in that corner and you kind of mess up, screw up your exit, you're kind of a sitting duck on the street, so it's only part of the equation in the grand scheme of things. In my opinion, of course. My very unprofessional opinion.
The Rouge dilemma is a bit of a confusing one because the entrance to that section is utterly important in a GT3 car because, like you mentioned, you ideally want to take this flat out so that you get the best possible runoff onto the main straight. Straight number 1 essentially here in the racing as it comes up towards the end of straight cornering. But like you say, if you just don't take it flat coming up a Rouge and Radion, you're going to sacrifice a lot of speed on the straight. But again, if you take the entrance wrong to a Rouge and Radion and you try and keep it flat, there is a very high chance you steer wide left or right. And the debris sitting out on track can really cause a little bit of rear end loss. You've seen it lots of times where drivers end up in the left-hand wall, or they try and catch the car and end up flicking back into the right-hand side wall. So it happens a lot. Here we see Jordan Klein going very aggressive on the backside of Barton here. It's Porsche versus Mercedes as he's trying to make his way back up. Klein is down 4 positions currently since the start of this race and trying to make his way back up in the next couple of minutes. There is only about 12 minutes left of racing yet to go in heat number 1. Then they head into a 5-minute break, and then heat number 2, 20 minutes to go yet again. So nice little dashes we've got going on here for the GT3s. Obviously not their normal circumstances. There are cars that are built for longer, more endurance style racing, but the sprints also very nice to watch, and they provide a lot of pretty interesting action when we see the drivers having to push to their utmost extent here in this short period of time.
Yeah, now I see here Andrew Barton trying to fend off Jordan Klein, who's super desperate to pass that big Mercedes butt. With the bent fender, of course, the bent left rear fender. And I don't know, we see Jordan Klein here having some good exits out of corners, but not being able to capitalize on them until now, outbraking the Merc into the bus stop and just taking advantage of that. And the Merc is just not even putting up a fight at this point. I think they're just kind of letting him go, not wanting to waste time, of course. And now maybe Klein might be wanting to look for more. He is 3 positions down here since the start, and maybe he's trying to, maybe he has the pace he needs to get it in the top, you know, but it's to claw the positions back.
Yeah, he needs to claw the positions back that he lost. I mean, he started, if we're looking at 3 positions down, he started up in 5th position in this race, and unfortunately things just took a bit of a drastic turn for him, and losing out a couple of positions at the start of this race, and now he's in that middle pack, trying to make his way up. We unfortunately are 3 drivers down so far in heat number 1. It is Hadian, Peterson, and Poe who are unfortunately out of this race for the time being. Cohen will be your final driver down in 14th position. There we see Owen Barthelms fighting right now with Melissa Barthelms. It's again the 2 Barthelms drivers fighting it out, but they do both get yellow flags there for exceeding track limits, and they will have to both take a slowdown. Jenny also fighting with Klein now, so the 2 Porsches trying to duke it out as Klein gets ahead and reduces his sentence down to 2 positions that he's lost overall. Jenny now trying to make his way back up and 8th position, but still 1 position up for that driver. Barton's also 3 positions up, and so a couple of the drivers have gotten significantly better experiences here in heat number 1 compared to the rest. For example, Trenton Walker currently a massive gap, 4.5 seconds up in front in his Aston Martin, and it does not look like he's slowing down anytime soon here for heat number 1. Yeah, we're still on the lines of Josh Jenny as he's on the backside of Klein, trying to keep up. Klein goes wide onto the sand. That's going to really reduce his speed here. But unfortunately, Josh Jenny goes wide into the right-hand corner. Now heading onto that back straight. Here, as you can see, he's lost a lot of time just from that error, and you'll have to try and keep up with the Porsche up in front on the back straight.
You can see how angry Jordan is here. He's now only 2 positions off the start, and he's making his way up, and I'm pretty sure we won't see Josh Jenny anywhere near him soon. But it's going to be about how many positions he can make up in the next 9 minutes ish. You know, with a big asterisk.
Yeah, with a big asterisk indeed. We'll have to wait and see how many. Apologies. We'll have to wait and see how many more laps we're going to get out of this. With 6 laps done and dusted, about 12 minutes gone now, so 8 minutes left to go, and we're looking at an average of about 2 minutes 16 seconds lap time, so just about 3 to 4 laps left, obviously depending on when our drivers pass the checkered flag line. Sean McAuliffe got his creative profile picture down on the left hand side, and now he goes side by side with Paternotte yet again, and Paternotte trying to make his way back up to where he originally stood. McAuliffe loses one of those positions he's gained, but he's going to go defensive and try and keep it all on the blocks here in that Porsche. The number 10 orange Porsche keeps up ahead of the BMW there of Paternotte, and these two are going to be fighting it out now for the next couple of minutes, seeing which GT3 is going to be the strongest here. And on the outside line, Paternotte trying to do everything he can to get ahead of the Porsche here, but it is good defensive skill right now from McAuliffe in that number 10 Porsche. Currently sitting in 4th position as he tries to work his way up to Barthelms up in 3rd. They have to watch out though from behind. The more fighting they do, the easier it's going to be for Tartaglion to attach onto this battle from the rear side, and they do not want to extend it to a 3-way fight, as it just makes it even more difficult to try and keep it consistent. So we'll have to wait and see, as you do see Paternotte now getting ahead. Let's hope he can try and pull away here, or is McAuliffe going to sit right behind in the Porsche?
Yeah, we just saw like an insane battle, masterclasses, just staying up close and taking advantage of each other. But you saw there, like in Eau Rouge, Paternotte just had a much better entry and exit off that, you know, that uphill, and he was just able to instantly get attached to the Porsche's rear. Now maybe the Porsche just doesn't have enough speed to begin with, but like it just tells you or just everything. Because if you know, if he was in the BMW and he didn't get enough speed up that mountain, then you know, we wouldn't be where we are now. Now here's the thing though, the Porsche is amazing in the corners, and now that he is behind Eric, maybe he can leech off that draft, you know, so maybe the straight line stuff is not going to be much of a weakness. But then when we get to the midsection, is going to be able to bite back a little bit.
Yeah, like you say, Rouge, one of the most important corners here. It's essentially the connecting corner between Sector 1 and Sector 2, basically. So you really do need to get it down there. We see Sean McAuliffe getting a much better run, though, up Rouge. Now into the Camel Straight, heading up to Les Combs. And we're going to have to see if he's going to have the run for it. He's got the slipstream, like you mentioned. And we'll have to wait and see if this is going to be enough for him. On the left-hand side, he's going to try and look down, but it is going to be defensive player for Patnod. He holds onto the inside line, and it's almost contact between the two of them. But now the Porsche will have the slight string of advantage here. It is going to have the better rotation in the corners here, but I don't know if it's going to have the speed to keep up with Eric Patnod up in front in his blue BMW. And Eric also making it look nice and easier today, really trying to keep things going. And maintain and get back up to third position where he originally started, essentially swapped spots with Barthelms in third position as they continue going on here. And McAuliffe still behind in that P number 5 car. Tartaglia also, unfortunately, unable to catch up right now. Klein also down in 7th, just not able to get back up. Josh Jenny will also try and stick onto the backside of him. But for the time being there, we see the likes of Josh Klein currently fighting it out with Tartaglion. So this is soon going to be a fight between the Ferrari and the Porsche in the next coming laps, as you do see Josh Jenny unfortunately dropping back there in the background of the Porsche, and that blue Porsche will drop out of the fighting zones here for the next 4 minutes. Though this is what the drivers have got to play with. The final few positions need to be made here in order to call it here for the end of heat number 1. Who's going to take the most amount of points? For the time being, it's looking like Walco's pretty much confirmed P number 1, but nothing is over until that checkered flag line.
Yeah, now back to Jordan Klein here. You saw he made a lot of time up to Manny in the Ferrari. Now it's going to be, can he not just make up the last half a second, but also pass in just 4 minutes remaining, asterisk. But then that means we have a battle brewing up, you know? And we also can't forget about, you know, McCauliflower and Patternaut battling it out. I don't think, you know, McAuliffe is just going to leave this be. He's going to try to get it back, you know? But will he be able to find out in this episode of Monticello Racing League live stream?
Yeah, or if we'll see it in heat number 2. Obviously, that's also going to be another race to play for. And obviously, Klein now getting closer and closer to Tartaglia and a bit further behind, heading into those final 3 minutes of racing now as they head onto the Camel Straight. And it is only going to be about a lap and a half left of running here that the drivers have got in the tank. 6 seconds of a gap, though, from Walker up in front. And looks like he's going to pretty much confirm it for this one if he can keep it nice and consistent for the next few couple of minutes. Tartaglia still all over the backside right now. As you can see, is Josh Klein. As he used to Jordan Klein, apologies, trying to make his way down in that green, that kind of dark pastel green Porsche. Nice simple color scheme, but it speaks a lot of words here on the backside. And the Ferrari, a bit of like a taxi style livery. Nice checkered waverings all over the edges. And going a little bit wide there, Tartaglia took a bit of an awkward entrance into the left-hander there, coming down into Pouon, and then just going onto the grass and the gravel on the right-hand side. That's definitely slowed him down, as we do see how close Klein is getting now for a possible overtake. And he's looking up on that inside line. Is the dive going to come in here for Jordan Klein? No, it's not. He's going to keep himself, and he's going to keep his wits at him, and does not make any aggressive overtakes here. Stays behind Tartaglion, and he's going to wait for a position to be made here before risking anything. And there we actually see him completely dropping off as he heads into the right-hander, coming towards La Source now. Apologies, coming towards Stavelot. And up towards Kirby, Paul Ferreira, and Blanchimont. We'll have to wait and see what these drivers are going to do. But currently, Klein and Tartaglia, one of your main battles out on track right now, with a minute and a half left to go. A minute and a half around about now. And so this is going to be final lap running once Walco heads across the checkered flag line. I'm not too sure where Walco is out on track right now, but should be onto his final lap. As it stands there, we do see him indeed coming down a Rouge. And it is about 1 minute and 20 seconds left to go. So not enough time to complete another lap after this. So this will be the final lap of heat number 1 as they keep on going around here. But Walco has had an incredible race here today coming down the Camel Straight and really has shown his wits to him. Keeping up in front, literally no contention whatsoever. And was able to pull over a 7-second gap towards the inside of this race. And looks like he's going to be able to bring it home in flying colors.
Yeah, Trenton Walker right now, masterclass in just keeping the lead, not letting people get into your head. I mean, his best lap is around 6 tenths up on Ian Barthel's. And those are the only two in the 16s in terms of best times, you know? But we look back at Jordan here, you can tell he's driving with his feelings a little bit, you know? Like, he has the pace for sure, but you can see him, you know, go off track here and there. You know, also, it doesn't matter if you're a little slower. If you defend and you just kind of park it at the apex and you play by the book, there's nothing Jordan can really do unless he, you know, goes elbows out pretty much. But you can also tell it's kind of getting into his head a little bit. Like, when he lost a lot of time before, he really hit that outside curb and understeer, you know, and like, you know, bounced off somewhere. So I don't think he's going to be able to get it here before the end, because we're already at, you know, at the very last sector, pretty much going into there. And there's just not enough time for it. Maybe if there was one more lap, but it's not going to be the case here. So I think this is just how it's going to be. Unfortunate.
And as we see Walco coming across that checkered flag line, so that's officially it for heat number 1 in terms of a race lead. Walco is going to come across the checkered flag line, and like you're saying, I don't think Klein has got enough in him to make the overtake happen. Just not enough. And Tartaglione really good on the defensive yet today to keep him at bay. Barthelmes Ian is going to come across in 2nd position. Paul, the other Barthelmes driver, is going to come across in 3rd position. Good job. To our top 3. Patternot's going to secure himself 4th position with quite a bit of an array from McAuliffe. And oh wow, now we actually see Klein getting the change of position, coming down towards the checkered flag line, and it's going to be side by side between the two of them. But Klein is actually going to take the position here and into 6th position on Tartaglione. We're going to have to get a replay of what happened between the two of them there. I have a feeling an error was made by Tartaglione. There is no way Klein could have died from so far back, so definitely an error or some form of on-track incident that's happened. And there's an on-track incident for sure, as we see a couple of GT3s being written off in the back left-hand side corner. Rod Trenker still coming around with the likes of Cohen just a bit further behind Jason Cohen. And those will be your final drivers for heat number 1. Are we able to get a replay, though, possibly of that battle between Tartaglione and Klein? And we'll have to just...
if you ask nicely... No, I'm joking. Hold on.
Yeah, let's have a look and see where what went wrong here. So this is heading up into the bus stop. Was this just an absolutely insane dive? No, there's the contact. So Jordan Klein makes contact on the backside of a Tartaglione and forces him out wide and gets the position done and dusted, and still comes across the checkered flag up in front. So unfortunately, a bit of a weird one. And if the stewards are going to be looking at that one, there might be a bit of a penalty delegation there towards the likes of Jordan Klein, as they now head towards the end of it. And that is officially it for heat number 1. We head into a bit of a 5-minute warm-up now for our drivers, just to get a bit of a feel again for the track. But there's your race 1 results. It is indeed Trenton Walker up in front by 8 seconds almost, with Ian Barthelmes in 2nd. Paul Barthelmes will take 3rd with Eric Patternot in 4th position. Sean McAuliffe takes 5th with Jordan Klein in 6th position. Manny Tartaglione in 7th position. Josh Jenny just taking 8th position. Andrew Barton and Simon Reed 9th and 10th. Owen Barthelmes and Melissa Barthelmes both taking 11th, 12th. Robin Trenker in 13th, and Jason Cohen, your final driver to complete the race here today. Brian Hedine and Chris Peterson and Mike Poe, 3 drivers, unfortunately not able to get out on track and finish it off here today, and they will be sitting at the backside of tonight's grid for heat number 1. So we'll have to see how this is going to translate over into heat number 2. It's going to be the exact same racing format, and I believe it's going to be pulling the results from race number 1 as your starting grid procedure, which is going to be a bit of an interesting one, as we have had quite a bit of a shuffle of drivers in our mid-pack. And so we'll have to see how this is going to play out between all our drivers. But Arouge definitely proving its complications here in heat number 1.
Yeah, and then that last pass, you know, stewards may disagree. But this is where this rowing is racing. You know, if it's for content, if it makes me laugh and smile, I think it's valid. I think that's how all incidents should be judged.
Or if we were judging incidents based on entertainment, I think we'd have a very different world of motorsports. I can't lie to you. I think most people would
some people might say
would be begging for incidents to be happening out on track. And Yeah, fortunately for us, we don't need to worry about those kind of decisions in the commentary and the production box. We just get to look at the race and make sure it's looking all pretty and make sure that the voices are highlighted on certain aspects. The stewards have the slightly more difficult job of obviously handing out penalties if they need to be handed out, and we'll have to see how that goes. But yeah, round 12 so far looking pretty good here at Spa-Francorchamps, heading into heat number 2 in approximately 3 minutes time, and I think it's going to be another great race here for the GT3 class drivers. Josh Jenny already out getting some practice here in the warm-up, just trying to get to grips in that Porsche, hopefully try to, maybe gain a position or two here on the starting procedure of heat number 2, and so trying to get the comforts yet again of his Porsche 992 so that he can, take advantage potentially, as we only see himself and Brian Hedian out on track right now. And Brian, let's see if he can maybe finish off today's racing in heat number 2. Heat number 1, unfortunately, not so lucky, and sat in the backside of the pit lane for basically the entire race. So let's hope we do get to see him out on track. There's the green BMW as he goes around. And let's hope we get to see him out on track, for heat number 2, hopefully coming across that checkered flag line.
What a livery skill issue. True. I think I agree. Now here's a question. What is your favorite GT3 car?
Favorite GT3 car is a car that is not really supported in the iRacing platform anymore. Not many people drive it, but it's got to be the good old V10 Audi R8. Gotta love the Audis.
Not support. I drive it. Hello?
Yeah, I mean, but what I'm saying is in like the official series, not many people drive it anymore.
No,
and it's a bit more of a.
You cannot save yourself anymore. It's no amount of justification or explanation will make you escape.
I'm sad that it's not on. I'm sad that it's not in like mainstream racing anymore. Like people just from experience of recent broadcasts, I just haven't seen it in the GT3 selection.
Maybe.
And I know it's a difficult car to drive. I've driven it before. I mean, I love it. That's why it's my favorite car. But
I think
I know it is a bit more of a difficult car to drive.
Like it's your duty as a commentator. If you want the car to be there, go drive it. Get out of the commentator seat and drive.
Oh, I can't do that, can I? I'm up in the commentary box.
You can. I am sure you can commentate while you drive.
I'll just be giving lopsided comms. One side from my car, no other comms around track, and the viewers will have to just settle for that one. But I'm assuming from your conversation that we've just had, your favorite is also the Audi R8, and
yes.
I'm hoping that they release like a new gen, because obviously we're getting a lot of new gen GT3s now. The new Mercedes obviously just got announced in real life,
and so Lamborghini. Like my favorites are the Lamborghini and the Audi, and I still don't have the new Lamborghini.
Yeah. So I'm hoping the V10s get a little bit of love, and maybe get some new gens coming in. I know the Aston Martin
either. I think we're cooked.
Exactly.
Ask me like the young people say we're so cooked. What do you mean, young people? You're young. Hold on.
Technically, yes, but that's indeed your practice session done and dusted, and heading into that final heat here for tonight's racing. And it is about we'll finish at I would say just about 20 minutes to the next hour, and there's your starting grid for the second gridding here. It is Trenton Morco still sits up in front. Ian Barthelms and Paul Barthelms are now sitting second. Third, Eric Patternot sits fourth position with Sean McAuliffe and Jordan Klein fifth and sixth position. Manny Tartaglia, and just losing out at the end there to Jordan Klein, sits seventh. And Josh Jenny down in eighth position. Andrew Barton, Simon Reed, ninth and 10th position. 11th is going to be Owen Barthelms with Melissa Barthelms in 12th position as they progress further down. Ron Trinker, 13th. Jason Cohen down in 14th. The Brian Hedian in 15th with Chris Peterson and Mike Poe. So the back three, all the exact same order, obviously from their finishing positions. And so the starting grid is indeed set based on the finishing positions and results of heat number 1. And so it's looking pretty familiar. Basically exactly how the previous race ended is how we start heat number 2. And so the drivers have got a lot of pressure on them to try and get towards the checkered flag line here now. It is the final race of tonight's action before we head to round number 13 next week, exact same time. And we'll have to wait and see how that one's going to go. But the Porsche car, not the Porsche, this is a Mustang. The Mustang pace car pulls away and officially starts the drivers for their formation laps.
Wait, hold on. I'm still offended. Why do people just not drive the Audi anymore?
I also don't know. I've spoken to a couple of other commentators and broadcasters so many times about it, and I think it is just a generally slightly more difficult vehicle to control.
It
It
is
gets a bit
not.
playful on the rear end side, and it's obviously a much shorter length vehicle, so the weight distribution is slightly different compared to the rest of the GT3s. But maybe it's also just the consistency. Trying to hold a specific lap time. I wonder if it's slightly more difficult compared to the current GT3s that we have in
That's
common
not the
roster,
impression
like
I
the
got. I mean, to be fair, I've barely driven the other cars, but I think it's easier to drive than Lamborghini of all things. So,
the question is it easier to drive than a BMW M4 or possibly a Mustang or a 296? That's the question, because I
but
mean
I've seen more
those three.
Lamborghinis.
Oh, I see no Lamborghinis yet tonight. We're missing the V10s entirely yet tonight. There's none of them,
Yeah, you're
unfortunately,
right. I
which
shouldn't be
sucks
here. I
because
should
I
be
really
driving.
do
Hold on,
love
I'll be
the
your
V10s.
back, guys. I'm gonna shut off the stream and go drive. Why not?
Yeah, we're going to lose the broadcast, and we'll see Egg Barthelms out on track, ripping it up in her Lamborghini. And as you see, the drivers now coming
Yeah.
through the bus stop chicane. The Porsche, not the Porsche again, apologies, the Mustang pace car pulls in. It's normally a Porsche, but it's pretty nice to see a different change of things here at the Monticello Motor Club. But there we are, officially see it's green lights and lights out on the way. Big go. Trent is going to be up in front, still trying to make his way around. And lots and lots of shifting up towards the top-hand side as we see a couple of drivers, and there's contact already. The Mustang, that's one of the Barthelms who goes around, coming around the first corner here, La Source. And unfortunately, that is not going to be a great one to be experiencing towards the start side of this race. And I'm trying to look for Trenton Walco, but he's down in 17th position and looks like he might not be in this race for the time being. I wonder what's happened to Trenton Walco. There we see Cohen, but further down in position, and 6th position up again is Josh Jenny, as he now fights with Patternot. There's been a lot of switching around. Eric Patternot losing 3 positions again. Jason Cohen up 5 positions, and massive contact on the Kemmel Straight as they just cut over the nose there of Cohen's car. And unfortunately, that car going completely off into the walls. I'm unfortunately not too sure who that was. I think it might have been the likes of Jason Cohen or Andrew Barton in one of those Mercedes. But very eventful start to our race here for heat number 2.
I have to say though, Jason Cohen coming in with like the Burnout Dominator takedown, that was an amazing takedown. You have to admit, even though it's probably against the rules. Textbook and Tokyo Drift here at Puhan with the Porsche of all things. I have to say the Porsche with its rear engine, not the most traditional drift spec car in the world. But hey, it's all about style now. Jason Cohen here defending against Brian Heaton, who's just hounding him, and also finally we see Brian Heaton on track in a way. Now Brian Heaton starts from the very back. He's already 7 positions up, and as I also just forgot to pull the tower. And now we have to see the professional claw his way back up to hopefully P1. He's only 8 seconds behind. Now it seems like a lot, but maybe to a man like Brian Heaton, it's just another Tuesday, perhaps, maybe. Now we move on here to Eric Paterno. This battle against the generational beef he has with the cauliflower. It seems to continue this race, thus giving us more entertainment, which I enjoy. Thank you guys. Yeah. Now we'll see what they do in Aruch here. The Porsche goes for the later apex here, better exit, but I think he gets a bit too scared of the BMW and maybe backs off a little bit. Now up to Aruj and then Radion, hopefully. We'll see if the Porsche gets a better... It does keep its speed here, and it has the draft, so maybe something will come out of this. Who knows? But Paterno keeping the inside line here, saying, if you're going to take this position, you're going to have to reckon to me or something. And, vroom battles.
I think vroom battles indeed, and I think the Porsche actually takes a Rouge slightly easier with that completely rear engine. It gets the rotation up the hill that the front engine cars tend to struggle with sometimes, especially when they're carrying too much speed up the hill, and then they tend to drift off left or right. And the Porsche does not have that issue. In fact, it's got the complete opposite. And if you carry the speed in wrong coming up a Rouge, unfortunately, you do tend to lose that rear end. And so let's hope we don't see that from any of our Porsches yet tonight. Patternot, unfortunately, down 2 positions again. But like we were already saying, it's good to see the fighting out on track is definitely still alive and well. As now we see Cohen dropping off yet again. We're currently 4 drivers down completely in this race, but Owen Barthelms has also pulled out. And again, Poe Trinker. And Trinker's also out in Walco. So completely different except for Poe down in the bottom side. Peterson, Cohen are both out on track, which is great to see. Tartaglione's gotten a much better race here for heat number 2 up into 3rd position. The same goes for Jordan Klein, currently up 4 positions. And so, lots of change up towards the top end side as we obviously see Walco dropping off completely. Jenny also gets himself up into 5th position. McAuliffe and Patternot, though, unfortunately 2 positions down. And Paul Barthelms, the main person who changes up the grid standings, here 6 positions down after 2 laps, unfortunately. And that's obviously why we see him down in 9th right now. He was the Mustang who had contact on the first lap, first corner, where he was spun around at La Source. And that obviously put him in a bit of a tough one to get himself recovered out on track. And that's why we see him down 3 positions from 3rd all the way down to 9th position. There we now again see Simon Reed down at 4th position, trying to make his way up with Tartaglione just up ahead as they continue to progress between the 2 of these drivers. And Tartaglione holding on to 3rd position right now. There we see Jenny having a bit of a blip, I believe, but it looks like he's all good. And we can continue the racing. Barthelms, though, has been able to get himself a 1.3 second gap, but it's not going to be enough to keep Jordan Klein at bay. And let's hope that we get a bit of a fight here for the lead of this race in the next couple of laps.
Yes. Now, you see the positions have shuffled around a lot, and outside of the top 2, there seems to be a bit of discrepancy in terms of lap time. Like, Manny here up ahead has slightly slower times compared to the people behind him, and that also means that as long as people are being smart with how they battle and everything, perhaps they can, Manny might not be able to hold that podium position anymore. You never know. But now we see Eric Paterno hounding Jenny here, asking politely for the inside of Puhan, but Jenny declines politely. And then, oh my god, I have not seen this move in decades. Simon Reed activates the lag switch outside of Puhan, confusing his enemy. Psychological warfare, right out of the Call of Duty Black Ops 2, book here. And it seems to have worked because he has regained some of the gap. Now it seems the main
good
battle
moves
here
there.
so far is. You can talk. I'm sorry.
No,
yes.
no, apologies. I thought you were done. That's all good. Main battle currently, like you were saying, is currently Patternot and Jenny. And it's good to see them fighting because, like you mentioned, the more action that they give, the more action we get for the stream. As you now see Eric Patternot on the right-hand side of Jenny trying to make his way around. It is blue versus blue, BMW versus Porsche. The one's got the slight advantage in the corners. The other's got the advantage in the consistency and the straights. As we completely see an overdive there from the likes of Josh Jenny. He actually completely taps out the other BMW driver here, Simon Reed. And unfortunately, contact on the backhand side from Patternot as well. And so Jenny now front side damaged and backside damaged from the two-way collision he's just had. In the background there, we also see Patternot struggling to keep consistency. And Barthelms, there we see Melissa going past in her BMW. And so she's not going to gain a couple of positions here with all of the mess-ups that's gone on. And unfortunately, down at the bus stop, just a completely incorrect read there from Josh Jenny. And that's caused a massive incident between the other drivers. Back towards the back-end side now, we now see Eric Patternot 7 positions down since the start of this race due to all the incidents he's been involved in. And could potentially be another note. Unfortunately, he fortunately pulls out and does not risk it. As we see a driver on the right-hand side there. That is indeed Simon Reed. After the contact, decides to pull the car in. It's just not worth it anymore. Let's keep that car going. We're going to go 3 wide though. Coming down, thankfully turns back into 2 wide. That would have been a little bit bad going down into the end of the Camel Straight here. As we do see the Mercedes, the number 8, currently leading it off of Barton up in 8th position. He's got a long train behind him of Patternot and Barthelms. And Cohen a little bit further behind 11th position. Still trying to keep on strong. Barthelms up in front though. Ian has been able to keep himself a 2.4 second gap. He's extended it from 1.4 up to 2.4, and it just looks like Jordan Klein having a bit of a struggle here, trying to keep up with the driver up in front. Tartaglione also 5 seconds away from Klein, so a bit of a no man's land up in front. And so let's hope that the fighting in the middle can escalate soon, so that we get a little bit of action for all of you watching from home.
Andrew here getting a worse exit out of Puhan because he understeered out of the mid corner, and he's kind of surrenders very politely that position. Now, I'm sorry, I'm still processing what has happened. So Brian Heaton, very nonchalantly just kind of still making his way back up. He's now still 18 seconds behind the leader, so hope has been lost of potential P1 or anything, but he still has a lot of people in front of him, and we're only less than halfway through the race, so perhaps things are not over. And speaking of not over, but hey, impressive. Josh Jenny changed the tide here by joining the bowling league at the bus stop, so kudos to him. However, missing front bumper. Now this might be a strategy because more air in engine, colder equals more power, perhaps. That's probably the thought process here behind also weight reduction, but slightly lower downforce. Now we know he has the rear engine stuff, so maybe he's like, I don't need the front downforce, I already have like a pendulum behind me, so we might be seeing some generational tactics here evolving the sport, really. Back to you.
Yeah, I think he didn't struggle too much though on Rouge, as we just saw him going up there, and obviously with the front end damage, like you mentioned, it's not tanking on that Porsche just too much. And he's also got rear end damage that we've got to remember. He did get tapped on the backside by Patinot, and you can see there's a massive dent in the backside of that car. So he's actually got front and rear damage. Unfortunately, he didn't lose the rear spoiler, because that would have been games over. As soon as you lose that rear spoiler, you lose all forms of downforce, keeping that back end down on the floor. And you pretty much spin out every single fast corner you attempt. There we see Barthelmes again, Paul, trying to make his way up in 6th position now, just behind Jenny. And we might be able to see a fight here. It's about 1.5 seconds between the two of them. Jenny obviously significantly slower than what he wants to be due to all the bodily damage he's currently got on that car. And so Paul Barthelmes will be closing in. McAuliffe also up in front in 4th position. And we'll have to see how this is going to work out for our drivers. About 9 minutes left to go in the second heat here. The feature race for tonight's racing at round number 12. And it's going to be a good one to watch here for the remainder of it. Ian Barthelmes, though, is looking completely uncontested as he continues to extend that gap on Jordan Klein currently. It is still over 3 seconds, and Jordan Klein just not able to bring the gap down here in his Porsche, and he might have to settle for 2nd position here if he cannot get close enough before the end of this race to try and make a dive. Let's hope it's not the same kind of aggressive dive that we saw on the inside of Patinot in the previous race. No, not Patinot, Tartaglione, and that was the fight in heat number 1. So let's hope we don't get to see that, as you see Barthelmes still up in 6th position, holding on as strong as he can and trying to make his way back up. Obviously still 3 positions down, but he's gained back 3 positions that he had lost. And so doing pretty good to make it towards the end here, and let's hope that he can find some way to get back up into that top 5.
Yeah, now we see pretty much like, inevitability closing in here. We see Josh Jenny sweating, going up Rouge, looking behind him and seeing, oh my god, the Imperial system is catching up to me. It's horrible. And now we see, Paul, okay, this is probably just going to be an easy pass. Never mind, hold on. Well, that happened.
Yeah, that did indeed happen. Unfortunately, not an easy pass, and
not an easy pass.
Easy
right?
pass. Easy pass for Paul Barthelmes. Sorry, not an easy defense there for Josh Jenny, and he just could not keep that Mustang at bay with all the damage he's got on that Porsche, unfortunately. And he's gonna have to try and work hard to keep up with him, but I don't think it's gonna be possible with all the damage he's sustained so far. Now he's actually got to watch out for another target, a target that he did not have in heat number 1. It is indeed going to be Brian Hedian, just further behind in his skill issue car. Coming up in the BMW, he's got absolutely no damage whatsoever. He's going to have the faster lines, And looking at the previous lap times, you can see 2:19.6 for Brian Hedian and 2:20.4 for Josh Jenny. So he's a lot faster in terms of pure race pace out on track. And so we should be seeing a bit of a move being made here. Owen Barthelmes gets himself a yellow flag just for exceeding track limits. And he's going to have to slow it down a little bit. There we go. We see his penalty being cleared. But up in front, unfortunately, the action is dissipating ever so slightly, as you do see most of our drivers now hitting it to a bit of a no man's land, and all pretty much evenly spacing out between each other. There's Barthelmes and Klein, who we've swapped to a couple of times yet tonight just to have a look. But the main fight currently is going to be Brian Hedian and Josh Jenny. The rest of the drivers all well over 2 seconds between each other. And so this is going to be the fight to watch coming up to the checkered flag line, if they can hopefully keep the fight good and consistent by the end of it without taking each other out like we saw with Tartaglione and the likes of Jordan Klein. So coming down into the source, you can see looking on the inside line there was Brian Hedian, maybe trying to see if he could scoop up on the inside of the broken Porsche up in front of Josh Jenny, but just not enough. And Josh Jenny's doing an incredible job in that damaged Porsche to keep himself up in front without risking the possible overtake of Hedian. And so Hedian is going to have to do everything he can here if he wants to try and move up into 6th position. It's not going to be an easy overtake. Even though the car up in front is damaged, he's still going to have to fight for it. With the next 5 minutes left to go, there is not a lot of time on the board. About 2.5 to 3 laps left to go for our lead driver. And that is officially going to be it then for round number 12 here of the Monticello Motor Club Esports Challenge for 2026. As you still see our drivers going around, and there's Hedian versus Jenny still. And now we see Jenny off onto the gravel. That's going to slow him down. And here comes the dive on the inside from Hedian. Is he going to be able to make it stick, or is he going to run wide? He holds the inside line and anchors it around to head down towards Puon. And a great move from Brian Hedian.
Yeah, showing Jenny the skill issue indeed. Now we have Cauliflower against Paul Barthelmes. Now Paul is significantly quicker based on the very reliable data we have of last lap. Now, will Paul Barthelmes here be able to pass? Only 4 minutes to go pretty much. Now, we see him just hounding the Porsche. Again, Imperial system taking over. You know, anyone? What's a kilometer? I think Paul might just wait until the Camel Straight, to be honest. Or
yeah, he's not far behind. It's only a 10th, you know. So
bowling league.
Bowling league. We could possibly see it. I mean, I don't want to see it. I hope we don't see it as we head down into bus stop, and he's going to keep it consistent on the outside line now. And yeah, so Barthelmes is going to have the slightly better car here in terms of car and track pick, and obviously very, very close behind. Unfortunately, he's lost out a lot of time on the exit of bus stop, all the way down from 1/10 up to all the way 1.3 seconds currently between Barthelmes and McAuliffe. And unfortunately, that's all due to the rear end loss slip out that he had coming out of the exit corner, and he's lost a lot of speed here that he would have hopefully wanted to use to make that overtake. And now he's going to re-catch up to the likes of McAuliffe, and only then can he make the overtake stick. So it's going to be a bit of a while now for Barthelmes, and he does not have a lot of time left to play with. 17 minutes. We are approaching the 3-minute marker now. About a lap and a half left. That will be allocated depending on where our race leader currently sits out on track. And as we still see Barthelmes up in front, there we see the likes of Ian Barthelmes. He currently heads down towards Puon. And so this next lap that he starts will indeed be his final lap, I believe, as we now see the drivers all trying to round up. And there we see again Josh Jenny, just not enough to keep up with Brian Hedian. And we might even see an overtake coming up from Patnott behind.
Yeah, now also Jenny here has been held up a lot by the yellow flag he has had for the past 10 years, which he has finally served, but that does allow the Bimmer to perhaps maybe go down Puhan very politely. Yes? Oh! I mean, that was a very optional side quest, but it did kind of happen. Now, the battle of the century. Generational beef between McAuliffe and the Barthelmes Empire. Now, we saw already like an attempt here and some side-by-side action. However, it is not over yet. And there's still a lot of time left. Oh!
Oh, but now we see the switch up. So there goes
Guys.
Barthelms ahead of McAuliffe, and they've made that switch up at the final mark of it. And we'll have to see
we
where our
for
race leader
real?
currently sits. Yeah, we're for real. That was a position. Barthelms made that look quite easy on
I was trying to
McAuliffe.
hype
And
things up and talk things, and then get into the the exposition arc and everything, and then it just happens while I'm getting the camera ready too. It's. Thank you guys. Wow.
yeah, that's unfortunately how life works sometimes, is that you prepare for something and then all of a sudden it just doesn't happen, or things
Life
change.
doesn't
And
work. Life doesn't work. Period.
true, true. True. Sometimes it just breaks completely. We've got 55 seconds left to go, and Barthelm's the only driver to be breaking down from the 18s all the way down to 17.3 currently. And what a huge amount of time difference he's got on Klein up in front. And obviously Walco was doing about 2:16s as well as one of the Barthelm's, but just not enough to make it towards the end. And there we see Klein currently sitting in second position. We do have 30 seconds left of racing here, and it all depends on where we see Mr. Ian Barthelm's up in front with that 2:17.3, whether or not it's going to be another lap. But based on what I can see, where we saw Jordan Klein, I'm pretty sure this is going to be final lap for the likes of Ian Barthelm's. And most of the fighting has subsidized out on track. I do see Andrew Barton is right on the backside of Melissa Barthelm's, and we could possibly see a bit of a fight coming down towards the line there. There we see him now in the purple Mercedes, trying to blend in, and just up in front is obviously Melissa Barthelm's in her pink BMW, trying to make her way around track. But the 20-minute marker has officially hit, and where does our racing leader sit of Ian Barthelm's? We'll cut back to him to have a look where he currently sits out on track, and indeed it's not going to be another lap, because here he only comes now onto the back straight up towards the likes of Blanchimont and in the bus stop chicane. So this is officially it. It's going to be a total of 9 laps done and dusted here, with Ian Barthelm's getting a much better run off here in heat number 2, and obviously the likes of Trent Walker just not making it towards the end of this race. And that's officially going to be it. Coming down into the bus stop chicane, Barthelm's is going to round off that final left-hand kink, and over the checkered flag he's going to come. Barthelm's takes the win for heat number 2, with Klein coming down shortly in second, but all the eyes are on the back here, because it's going to be Patnott versus Hedian coming down into the hairpin and coming down into the bus stop. Apologies. Oh, it's wide completely for Eric Patnott, and Hedian's trying to comprehend what he's trying to do here. And Eric Patnott's actually going to do a bit of a cutback over the nose, so from outside line to inside line, and he blocks, and there's the incident. And again, Patnott makes contact. Unfortunately, Hedian gets spun around, and doesn't look like he's going to lose a position, but he is going to lose a bit of morale and aura points for that one, unfortunately. And a little bit further behind, he is going to drop off. And that's officially it. The racing done and dusted. What a great race we had, though, for heat number 2.
Yes, and I appreciate that last battle. Eric looking at Brian's livery and saying "No, you," and giving him a skill issue. Generational, insane, something. Now we have the results here, and I'll leave it to you since you can read better than me, I think.
So your results for heat number 2, obviously based the starting grid based on the results of heat number 1. It is Ian Barthelm's up in front, with Jordan Klein taking second. Manny Tartaglion takes third, with Paul Barthelm's in fourth position. Sean McAuliffe will take fifth, with Eric Patnott taking sixth position. Seventh is going to be Brian Heading, and with Josh Jenny in eighth position. Andrew Barton down in ninth, with Melissa Barthelm's in 10th, and Jason Cohen down in 11th position. Owen Barthelm's in 12th, with Simon Reed in 13th position. Chris Peterson in 14th, with Trenton Walco, Ron Trenka, and Mike Poe. Unfortunately, not finishing this race alongside Simon Reed and Chris Peterson, who just did not make it towards the checkered flag line. That is officially it, though, for the racing action here for round number 12. And I mean, Omet, Egg, do we have any of a bit of an insight as to how that racing went here at Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps?
Yes. Traditional race, white canvas, Spa, and GT3 is. The Barthelm's Empire has, was dominating in the first round, and then it was befelled in the second. Brian Heaton, unfortunately, didn't even see the light of day in round 1, but in round 2, he started the back and finished somewhere. That's not last. But unfortunately, Trenton was killed in a car accident in T1. Other things have happened, but I have short-term memory loss and I don't remember. Also, lots of actions and battles. Wow, cars doing things. Impressive.
Impressive indeed. But that is officially it for round number 12. Thank you so much for joining us here live tonight and with all the racing action. We head to round number 13 next week. Same place, same time. You do not want to miss it for our 2 20-minute sprint races that definitely do lighten up the moods. If you're feeling down or if you don't know what to do, head over to the Monticello Motor Club YouTube channel and come and have a good time in our races here. But thank you so much for joining us yet again. My name has been Tristan Epps, joined in the commentary box by Egg Barthelms. And it's been a great one. We'll see you next week. Have a good one.